Welcome to the Builders Podcast, episode 154, our 2024 Unified Blueprint, 4 key pillars, services, plus product strategy. Before we jump into this episode, please subscribe to this podcast, hit that notification bell if you're on YouTube, and after a listen, please give us a thumbs up, like, and share, if we've earned it. With your help, we can reach more people and deliver these valuable from the trenches lessons to those that need it. Enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another The Builders. Today, it is a solo episode, just me today. And I'm going to dive right into it in a couple seconds here because I got a lot I want to dig into. We just left behind 2023, and we were firmly in 2024 towards the end of the first week. It is actually the end of the first week. This is a Friday. I'm recording this, and we're rolling. We got a strategy. We're going into this year with an idea of what we're going to be doing. We've figured out what wasn't working last year or what we decided not to do this year, and what we're going to be doing new and fresh or doubling down on, tripling down on this year. So I'm going to talk about all that stuff. And on this podcast, because it is about stories, right? It's stories from the trenches. It always has been for the last almost 3 years of content that we have on here. It's always about stories, entrepreneurial stories, business stories. Those are my favorite things to talk about with other people, hearing their stories when we have guests. But also when I'm on here by myself, I like to talk about things through my story and what I'm doing in my business. And I think we learn, I don't know about you, but I love to hear stories. That's why I love podcasts too. I love to hear what other people have been through, what they're doing, the struggles they've gone through, the challenges, or what they're doing and why they're doing it. And that's really at the core of this. Why do we do these things? There's always a reason, right? And with business, things are always changing. There's probably a business out there somewhere. They do the same thing day in and day out. I suppose if you ran a bar or something. I used to be a bartender in my 20s. It was pretty rudimentary. Every day, the same people came to the bar. We had our regulars, went through the same kind of thing all the time. Maybe different promotions and things throughout the year. But for the most part, the business didn't change too much, right? There was alcohol. There's new alcohol. There's a new whiskey in the market that we're going to try to sell. So every business has different things that are happening, right? I don't know where I'm going to go there, but online, especially in tech, things are moving at a lightning pace. There's always things changing and moving, and in agency life, which I'm going to be talking about today because I have an agency. I have a web design and development agency, but the lessons from this are pretty general in nature. We're going to be talking about strategic decision making at the core of it. That's going to be the thread here, but it's specific decisions I've made this year. And let's dive into it. So before I make this a really, really long intro and I put you to sleep. But no, this is really about, and I even have this bulleted out a little bit more than I usually do. So if you're watching the video, you're going to see me glancing over because I really want this to be a good one. I want this to be, not that our organic ones are not good. Hopefully they're good. But usually we go with the flow, but I want to at least have some structure so I can speak to things, and then within that we'll wing it. But so strategic decision making is a big part of this. As I said, it's a thread throughout business. Now I'm going into my 6th year as an agency, and we've made a lot of decisions over that time. There's things that I thought we'd be doing day one that we quickly either stopped doing or thinking about, or even a couple years later. There was an initiative that I talked about for a couple of years, even on this podcast. And like a year ago or something like that, I decided to not doing it. We're doing this other stuff. And that is because things, again, change in a business. We got different types of business than we were anticipating. We followed the money sort of, but we also followed our passions. We're like, we enjoy doing this. Let's do more of that. And a lot of it too, though, is about focus, because there is a danger, especially if you're an entrepreneur that has a lot of ideas and you're always thinking of things. Even when you're walking your dog, you're thinking about what that next project you could do or that next idea. And sometimes you have to say either no to those things, or you might decide, let's explore that idea. And then you're like, okay, maybe not. And you end it. And that's okay. That's okay. You're going to have your core stuff, right? So in my business, I have a core stuff, like 98% of my revenue, maybe 99.5% of my revenue comes from very specific things. And we're really good at that. We've done well. And that's what all our marketing, messaging, everything's around that, right? But as an entrepreneur, I got that established. We're doing good. Got good systems, processes in place, a great team, and things are good. But there is other things that I still want to do. I still want to actually create and sell products. It's something I've done forever, and in past businesses and past efforts. And I want to do again. And right now, most of what we do is like 99.5% of what we do is services. But I want to actually build the product side of our business. I'm going to talk about that today. And so there's things like that. There's other ideas that I thought was a good idea. And it turns out that we grew in other areas. That's on the services side. We're going to talk about that, what happened there. Something we're going to go after. You might know if you listen to this more often. There was something we were going to do, and then we kind of were set up to do it this year. And I'm actually, we'll talk about that in a minute. I'll tell you what's going to go on. But we had a great 2023. We grew again as a business, and the agency grew, the team grew. We added members to the team. We added more revenue. So we're on a good trajectory. Knock on wood. Somebody knock on wood, please. Let's keep her going. Hopefully I can say the same thing a year from now. But we were focused on, existing business and we got new business, new referrals, building new relationships. And it was good. Overall, it was a great year. But at the end of the year, now you analyze your business throughout the year. Like every quarter, every month, we talk about that here. We've talked about that with past guests and experts, even in that type of stuff, where it's like in other agencies where, you got to be planning and thinking and changing. Because again, things are moving fast, especially if you're like in advertising or you're in some kind of tech. Like there's always things change a lot quickly. So you always have to be agile enough to adjust throughout the year. But at the end of the year, I do have, at least me personally, I have these larger initiatives or larger rocks that I consider. And sometimes those larger rocks, it seemed like a good idea. And those new larger rocks seemed like a good idea. But this last year, we had some big rocks that got bigger. But there's another one, and that's what I'm going to talk about first here. There's another one, the insurance niche or insurance vertical, whatever you want to call it, that I had a conversation. This is going like a year and a half ago. I had a conversation with one of our partners. Met him in Chicago, actually. They flew in from another part of the planet. And we talked about doing the insurance thing because I have an insurance background. I was an insurance agent for like 10 years, had my own agency, partnered for a while. I had my own agency. I partnered with another person with another agency, independent agency. I know the biz. And now I know web design development and running teams, tech teams. And we had some good ideas. my partner was like, you should do that because that's a great, because you know the domain, you know people. And now during that, we were still doing business in other areas though. We still have our full service web design development agency, and we're doing a lot of WordPress. We're doing maintenance. We got great maintenance contracts. Things are building, right? But I'm like, this is a good idea. It's a good idea. Let's put some effort into that. I had a developer actually develop a website, and we got a domain, built a website, and got that up. And going into this past year, the goal was that last January 2023 is we're gonna start promoting it and going after that business. And I did a little bit. I made some phone calls. I had some meetings. And one that I thought I was going to get, we were kind of, we were a little expensive for them. But that wouldn't deter me. I would just keep going. I know it's a numbers game. I've been doing this for a while. But again, we're still doing, the rest of our business is growing. We have this agency that about a year and a half ago, we started doing work for, more than a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, we started doing, building a relationship with, and that's grown tremendously. It's becoming a bigger and bigger part of our business. Great relationship with this agency. They're local, so I do a lot of in-person stuff and meet with their clients and do all kinds of stuff. So there's another local part of my business growing. And plus all our existing established partnerships and clients that we've been working with for a while. So all that's going. While I get this insurance thing over here, I got to figure out what I'm doing there. I'm going to do some advertising. How am I going to promote this now? The year started to trickle on. and plus we're doing other things, we got, some other things we'll talk about next, that we're doing a little bit of, the product side, but I just, it was just there. And sometimes I don't know if it's just, sometimes it's when you're not passionate about something too. Like it would be fun, but am I passionate about that? I don't know. Like, I feel like if it was, I definitely would be I would have a different story right now. Or maybe I just liked what we're doing over here. Or like, we already got some really great things going on. Long story short, it's kind of a distraction in a way, right? It's this thing that's out here now that I put out there and built. I feel kind of bad because we put some hours, my developer put hours in that, designer. It was a really beautiful site. But I had to make a decision. And this was a strategic decision. It was a decision based on, like, where are we headed? What are we working? Who are our clients now? What do we need to focus on? Where should our energy go? And some of it's mental. Some of it's even mental health, I guess you could say. Like, I got this distraction over here, and I'm kind of worried about it. You know how you stop worrying about something? Let me see. Do this. If you're on video, you just take it like this. You crumple it up and you throw it into the garbage. That wasn't important. But sometimes you just shut her down, right? So I was thinking about it over the holidays and even through the end of the year here. And finally, I just said, you know what? I can't decide what we're going to do with that. And I got all this other stuff I want to do. And I am passionate about the products, right? I am passionate about what we're already doing and the relationships we've built. So I shut it down. Now, the beautiful thing about having a team of developers and designers is anything I want done with my own websites, I just have to, here's the directive. Here's the task. Go over there, redirect that site to unifiedwebdesign.com. Done. Now, here's the thing. This does not mean that we won't get an insurance agency or be in that niche in the future. We might even, in some ways, find ways to target that market. But we're just not going to have a dedicated vertical sight and effort right now in that realm. Again, it could happen. We might end up a year from now, fire that site back up again. It's sitting there. But right now, so I can focus, I don't have to worry about it. I can focus my team. My maintenance team doesn't have to worry about that site anymore. It's deleted, figuratively or something. It's just gone. It's still there, but it's redirecting. So it's done. And that's one of the big decisions I made, a big strategic decision. Now we can focus and define our 4 pillars. So we actually have 4 websites. And one of those websites is unifiedplugins.com. Now, unifiedplugins.com is something that within the last year, we also launched. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole story there, how we ended up there. But I used to sell, like I said, I sold product. I mean, I've been around the web for like 20 years. I've sold a whole lot of things over that time. And I just haven't. In the last 5 years, I've been doing mostly services. But I was selling themes for a while. And we did sell themes. We had a marketplace. It was this whole thing for a while, but I shut that down for reasons a couple of years ago. But I started getting this idea, like, we already had a plugin. We made that plugin better. And then we added another plugin. Like, you know what? And part of the idea here is that we have these plugins. We build WordPress sites for our clients, and we can use these plugins as a framework. And we have an in-house theme. We're actually going to be giving that away soon. We have an in-house theme we use as kind of a boilerplate for our sites. And we're building our own little, infrastructure, our own little framework to build sites. But now I'm like, actually, let's just build plugins. Let's just build more. So we have an email capture plugin. We have something now that's called Unified Toolkit. It used to be Unified Tweaks. We renamed it, rebranded it. But Unified, which does a bunch of things. It does some performance stuff. It does some, adds some features and admin stuff, security. So it has a bunch of things, and we're going to build on that. So we got that. And then we have a Unified Blocks plugin, which is a blocks plugin. And we are actually, hopefully in the next week or so, going to be launching a new plugin called Unified Pop-Ups. It's a pop-ups plugin. Makes sense. So it's done. I'm just doing the copy and stuff, and I got to get it launched, and we're going to add more features to that eventually. There's another plugin that we just started development on. It's going to be pretty cool. I won't talk about it yet. So we're going to start building plugins. There might even be some AI stuff we might work on. But I'm excited because what did I just say there? This is exciting. Like, this is my thing. I love coming up with those ideas, building stuff, I don't even almost more than selling stuff. And that's the weird thing. That's the weird thing. Like, the whole reason here, let me give you a little secret here. So, like, the whole reason I got into web design and development. So over the years, for the first decade I was online, I was doing all the internet marketing, and I was doing affiliate marketing. I was selling my own digital products. Like I said, I've sold a lot of products, memberships, thousands of stuff. And I did a lot of promotions in those days. We did a lot of advertising and promotions, obviously pay-per-click, but we also did promotions in other realms. I was always, marketing, and I had an email list, and I had all this stuff I was doing, right? But the thing is, like, through all that, I built a lot of sites, for myself to promote, landing pages and doing all this development stuff. And, the funny thing was that within that, I sometimes would say, I enjoy tinkering with this site all day more than the actual marketing and all the other stuff I'm doing. I actually enjoyed that aspect of it. And that is when the day came where I needed to pivot and do something else with my life. That's what really resonated with me. And that's how I ended up where I am today. But this is another thing, like Unified Plugins. I love the idea of building things. I love building things. Thus, the name of the podcast, The Builders. I like building things. And now I can not only build a website, unifiedplugins.com, that sells products, but I can just build if I have an idea, again, it's kind of cool having your own web design development team where it's like, you got an idea, we just can build it. We just, like, I can say Janine or, Krista or whatever developer, developers, like, we got different developers. Like, Raul was one of our developers. Raul, I need you to, Ellen, I have this idea for a plugin. Here's the task. Go build it. Here's my ideas. Here's how I want it different than the other ones out there, or what features I want. Sometimes it's something that I use all the time and just want to solve for. Sometimes it's just an idea to help us build websites. I love that. Before I even sell them. It doesn't even matter. See, the great thing about the unified plugins is whether we sell them or not, we're going to use them ourselves. So it actually has value regardless. So for our clients. But yeah, so that is what we're going to actually be doing. So insurance is gone. Plugins is not front and center, but it'll hopefully become a portion of our revenue in the coming years. And we're also going to be, I have a little bit different of a model and approach to selling them. Some of them are going to be free, some are premium. So a lot of fun. We're going to have fun with that. And promoting and all that's another whole thing, but that's basically what we're doing there. The other thing, so now talking about 4 pillars, that's one of the pillars. The other pillar is obviously unifiedwebdesign.com. So that's our web design business agency that's been around for 5 years. And there, the focus is we're going to have more of an SEO focus. We're going to be doing some link building and stuff around specific things, maintenance, custom websites, the things we do, that's our wheelhouse. We're going to be doing a lot more in that department. We're going to be getting content done. We got a plan. Okay. The other thing that we're doing, we have mattlevenhagen.com, which is my blog. I talk about teams and processes. That's kind of evolved over the last year and a half. The content changed, and that's been my focus, and that's going to continue to be. But it's also a kind of a hub for things like, these are the podcasts Matt's been on. I'm going to be doing more guesting this year. That's also in the cards. And I'm able to do these things because I got rid of the insurance. It's because Matt's committing to it. But these are things that you're going to see. There's actually a thread through all these things. You get 4 pillars, but they all kind of feed into each other. So when I'm talking about teams and processes on mattlevenhagen.com and establishing my expertise and authority on that, that leads into unified web design. If you noticed, kind of a big focus of ours is extending teams. That's kind of in our messaging, relieving stress, and we'll extend your team. And that's our specialty. We're good at working with outside teams, and we can solve that problem for people. But those are the things I'm talking about at mattlevenhagen.com is teams and processes, because there's underlying process under that as well. There's kind of a juncture there. They work together. But so that's going to be continued. The builders.fm, obviously that's our podcast, and we're going into the 4th year. We have some more we'll be doing in that department in terms of content and stuff, and more longer clips and stuff. I was talking to my marketing team about just doing more there, and more of the same, but more of certain things, maybe adding 1 or 2 things. So unified plugins, unified web design, Matt Levenhagen, and the builders, those are our 4 pillars in terms of sites. And all of it, like the podcast, it's a business podcast. It's, and with this kind of undertone of tech and my sponsors, unified web design, that ties in, right? It ties in, and I might be talking about teams and processes periodically, and so that it has this theme that and also that's how we network. That's part of our networking. That's part of our content. We can use it in all kinds of different ways. Unified plugins, the plugins we're building, again, we're using that for our clients and our projects, and and it helps build, it's part of our brand. The Unified is the brand. And so all these things, there's this thread, you know, and and that's how I've envisioned it. That's how I've developed it. And now that we, when you remove another project like I just did, now we can focus on those pillars and really, I hope to do more content in all areas. We're kind of building out even on unified web design. We actually have some case studies on there now, and we're going to be adding more of that and focusing more on that as time goes on. Just improving those sites and working on them. So there, I think if you are going to do different things, doing something very different is like a completely different thing is hard. And kind of insurance was that for me. It was something completely different that was going to be its own, like obviously we don't have to learn how to do websites differently or anything. We have the same team using it, but it's still very different. But if you're in a completely different niche or you're selling a completely different types of products, that's hard because you're starting from scratch again. But if you build things that all complement each other and work together, you're just extending it, and it can all have this loop of promoting each other. And Unified Plugins is going to promote unified web design. The Builders promotes unified web design. Levenhagen.com promotes unified web design. It all kind of goes back to that one site, right? That's the hub. That's what it's all about. Eventually, maybe Unified Plugins becomes more of a thing over time. And I would love a day where like half our revenue is services, half is products. It could be a day where 90% is products. That would be fun. But whatever, it all kind of feeds in and loops in together and it just becomes this ecosystem. And it really helps my team focus. And focuses the messaging on everything. So the Builders, is important, again, for the networking, the content generation, all that stuff. We're targeting our audience. We work with businesses. Who are we going to have on this content, on this podcast? Businesses. If I need more agencies to work with, guess what? I'm probably going to bring in some agency owners over here. But I don't think about it that much. We're pretty. I just want to find good guests, but I could use it that way. For me, it's more. This podcast is fun. I love talking about business and stuff, and so like I just had an AI person on. Like I'm not going to be doing AI anytime soon, but I love talking about tech and AI. So sometimes it's just topics Matt wants to talk about, but. With all of that, I've had a meeting, beginning of this week, beginning of the year, with my main marketing person, and we discussed what the plan was. And I had actually at the end of the year, I was thinking about some other things. I was actually going to do another campaign of cold outreach with email. Decided not to do that for various reasons. And decided that no, we got this baseline. We do social media. We got the podcast. And we started to do SEO. I have a dedicated SEO now on the team. And she's gotten really good at optimizing content. And I get weekly and monthly SEO reports now for at least the last 3 months, 4 months. I've been getting. So now I don't have to go out there and get that stuff myself. I have somebody delivering reports to me so I can see how we're doing or if there's issues, what's doing well, what's not. And now this year we're going to be doing the link building and just working on that on the 4 pillars, starting with one main pillar. So there's this kind of, they kind of work together. Social media, SEO works together, and they do. I have a dedicated social media person. I have a dedicated SEO. They work together. It's a unit, in terms of the content we're creating and how that's used and distributed and all that stuff. So that's huge. All of that ties into the networking. I have a really good episode coming up. A couple episodes where we talk a little bit about networking with Carrington, and then AJ's coming back on in a few weeks. And we talked about, or he's going to be published in a few weeks. We already talked. We talked about social media, but there's this kind of theme where it's like you can use social media and you can use all this stuff, but really for us, it's about networking. It's the relationships we build that come out of that we build out of that, or maintain, or engage with people that we've already built some relationship with. And so it's all really about networking, but we're using content and social media and going to get better at SEO. All of that kind of feeds into that. And then, but also, we build this organic traffic and stuff, and hopefully start, getting more customers to plugins and with some strategies. But that's really it. We're not doing advertising. We're not doing paid advertising. I always am toying with that idea. There may be something strategic I do where I would invest in some advertising, maybe to test something or whatever. But for the most part, this is where we're starting the year. And a big part of it is, it's worked for us, and we just need to scale it. Actually, my conversation with AJ is about that, where he's doing X number of content every week, and he just got his first client from that effort. And I said, just imagine now if you took that content and you did that every day instead of every week, you might get more business. And, that's kind of what we're doing. Like, well, this is working. We're getting traffic. We're getting, our brand is building. We got really good relationships and things happening. We're doing the podcast stuff. Podcast is very important, not just this podcast, but also I've done some guesting on other people's podcasts. I'm going to be scaling that up this year. All that stuff is building brand, personal brand, the brand, our unified brand. That's what we're doing. And, that kind of trinity of SEO, social media, and content, that is our thing. And it's not, it's funny, and again, I'm speaking to AJ, in a few weeks, it'll be coming up. But it was interesting because I'm like, you wouldn't look at AJ's content or my content even and be like, they're doing really, really well. But we're doing really, really well we're doing good, right? We're not going to be like Gary Vee and have thousands of people engaging with every single post. No, but it doesn't mean it's not working. It's working for us and our scale, our size of business, and what our needs are. I guarantee if social media wasn't working, I wouldn't still be doing it 3 years later. I hope you found this interesting. I'm so looking forward to 2024. We're building on what we already built, going into the 6th year. It feels satisfying from that perspective too. A lot of businesses don't make it through the 5th year. So I feel really good. I'm so thankful to have such a great team. And also I'm grateful for you guys, everyone that listens to this podcast and supports our podcasts. Everything you do, whether that's rating us on, Spotify or Apple Music, leaving a review or sharing our content on social media, whatever you do to support us, it doesn't matter. Just, give me a smiley once in a while, just comment a smiley. It makes me feel good. Those little likes make me feel good, but no, I appreciate all the support out there. And I hope to continue to do this content and do even more different types of content out there, because I'm hoping the goal is it inspires you, it motivates you, it gives you new, fresh ideas, new perspectives. Maybe it wakes you up to something, whether it's me in a solo podcast like this or one of our guests that come on. I have so many amazing guests that have come on and with amazing stories. They're so smart, and doing so many great things and helping people. I'm looking forward to have a bunch more of those in 2024 and beyond. Anyway, I'm going to go now. Thanks so much. Until next time, take care. That's all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, please subscribe if you haven't already and give us a thumbs up if we deserve it. If you want to comment on this episode's page,
provide me with requests on topics for future episodes, or inquire about being a guest, please find your way to thebuilders.fm. You can contact me there or add a comment under these show notes. Now a word from our sponsor, my agency, Unified Web Design. We build custom websites, features, we maintain websites, we work with agencies to fulfill their web design and development needs, and more. If you are interested in our services or are looking for an agency to work with as a partner to build awesome sites for your clients, feel free to reach out to me at unifiedwebdesign.com. There's a handy contact me link at the top. Fill out that form and it will open a ticket, and that ticket will find its way to me. Thanks for joining me today. We'll see you next time.